Who is responsible for creating our perception filters? The first influence we have toward any sort of perception of our environment is our parents. They pass on their notions of the world, their prejudice, and their knowledge. However, in our modern-day society, the television has a large influence on our perception. Study shows that when children 4 to 6 years old were asked to choose between watching TV or spending time with their fathers, 54% preferred television. An average child sees approximately 200,000 30-second commercials per year. The average American watches 4 hours of TV per day, the equivalent of 28 hours per week, translated to an alarming 2 months per year. The average percentage of TV sets in an American household is 2.24%. 66% of American homes have at least 3 TV sets. 66% of the American population watch television while eating dinner. By the age of 65, Americans have seen an average of 2 million commercials. So what does all of this have to do with the 5 trillion cells that make up our body? Scientists tell us that perception activates behavior, and therefore perception controls genes. In 1988, the discovery of adaptive mutation proved that the environment controls the mutation of genes. Our perception acts as an interface between the environment and our biology. Our genes adjust to fit the environment that we think we live in. Our perception is influenced by the one-way communication box in the living room. Each of our 5 trillion cells are signaled by it. The high amount of violence, fear, and commercialism will be transmitted within. Studies show that people living in fear and stress perpetually activate not only their adrenal glands, but their whole hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. When people are under stress, their immune system shuts down and their reflex behavior is activated. Reflex behavior makes people act on instinct rather than rational thought. Therefore, people in stress are less intelligent. So you could say there is a whole population living in fear, watching the world being decided for them in a box.
Human behavior results from the interaction of biological and cultural evolution. Human biology is incomplete without culture, nature. So, who is in charge of delivering this one-way information? Around the times of World War I, the Committee on Public Information was formed, employing men like George Creel and Edward Bernays to create propaganda films in order to manufacture public support for the American-style democracy. Bernays, often known as the father of modern public relations, declared his films to be manipulating the social machinery which controls the opinions and habits of the masses. Their goal was to indoctrinate citizens with the capitalist story. And until this date, pro-corporate sentiments are still present in our society.
Through the arts and crafts of the American stylists, the things about us are made to express our own free spirits and desires. Freedom of individual choice.
We're discussing today one of the most precious gifts on earth, American citizenship. American citizenship is a combination of freedom and responsibilities. Great principles do not live from generation to generation without being nurtured, without being kept vigorously alive. Unless we understand and work effectively for the principles upon which our American way of life is founded, the structure will crumble and our heritage of freedom will perish. We know that under the stars and stripes we have more freedom than do civilized people on earth. Our freedom stems from the fact that America is a republic, founded on a constitution, and dedicated to the principle of democracy and the worth of the individual.
Economy is not designed for people. Rather, people are trained to serve the economy. Corporate megamedia structures have come to dominate the terrain, including TV, radio, film, cable, print journalism, and internet. Mainstream media have become an extension of dominant corporate interests.
Let's go back to one of society's core scientific beliefs, survival of the fittest. Survival of the fittest could justify corporate efforts towards indoctrinating the masses with their capitalist story. Attributed to Charles Darwin, this phrase actually comes from Herbert Spencer, as he paralleled his ideas of economics with Darwin's theory of evolution. Survival of the fittest implies that there will always be someone who is better, and therefore has the right to profit from his advantage over the rest. This feeling permeates our society at different levels, known as social Darwinism. With his elitist thinking of might makes right, the concept of adaptation allowed Herbert Spencer to claim that the rich and powerful were better adapted to the social and economic climate of the time, and therefore it was normal and proper for them to thrive at the expense of the weak. According to Spencer, not only was survival of the fittest natural, but also morally correct. Of course, this type of thinking sounds outrageous in our day and age, but exploring the history of monopolies and corporations of our time makes it evident how social Darwinism is still present in our modern society. As an example, we will take ExxonMobil, the biggest private oil company in the world. Exxon supports brutal regimes in African countries such as Madagascar, Angola, Republic of Congo, Sao Tome and Principe, Nigeria, and Libya. Exxon is being sued in the World Court by the country of Indonesia. Since the beginning of its existence, this company has destroyed its competition, partially owned the railroads, and in 1944, even sold oil to the Nazi regime. All this to give examples of what a company will do to gain the most amount of profit.